guys, it's Dave and welcome to the Weird Kid Show. It's awesome having you here today. I'm going to do something different this week, guys. I want to share a story with you that very few people know. There's only a very small amount of people that know this story. And the reason why there's only a small few that know the story was because of fear of ridicule. But the reason why I'm doing this is because June 1st, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the news, but the Department of Defense is supposed to release intelligence, investigations, all the information that they know about the phenomena UFOs. Okay? Now when you say the word UFO, which stands for unidentified flying object, people automatically like, weirdo, for one, or they'll think of little green men running around, okay? So they are no longer called UFOs. The government now calls them UAPs, which stands for unidentified aerial phenomena, okay? And I don't know why this hasn't made the news, because in part of Trump's, what is it, it was 2.3 trillion appropriation bill last year, there was a provision in there that the Department of Defense was required to submit a report on everything it knows about UFOs, UAPs, okay? And right off the bat, they released some documents. They unsealed some documents, and they unsealed and made public a number of videos. I think there's like 4 of them now, of UFOs or UAPs in the sky that the military themselves had videoed themselves. There's one where there is an anomaly being chased by a Navy fighter pilot, and he was able to lock onto it. And then I think it was last week, Obama was on 60 Minutes, and he himself admitted that the government knows the existence of UFOs, but they don't know what they are. Okay, so they're starting to come out with the truth on this stuff now. All these people were not crazy, and I know now that I'm not crazy. So let me tell you what happened to me. I've been in this house here for, I'm going on 30 years now, and I bought this house as a single man, and I had a friend named Don who used to come out and hang out with me here at the house, and we were in Venice, Florida, which is on the west coast of Florida. It's roughly an hour south of Tampa, and we had just gone to a Target department store. Now the stretch of road, the main road that heads back into Northport, is called Tamiami Trail, Highway 41. You hear Tom Petty sing about it. 41's a major road, okay? But back then, it was not a fully developed. There was probably a good 5 or 6 miles of road where there was just nothing but, not pasture, but fields and woods, undeveloped land. And it was about targeted closed. We had caught it towards the end, so it was at least 9 o'clock or a little bit after, and we were heading south down Highway 41. And I remember seeing off in the horizon, off in the distance, a bright light, which is not unusual in itself. Planes, when they're off in a, when they're very far, you can't always make out the blinking lights. So at times it can look like a solid light. But the thing about this light was that when you see an aircraft in the sky going across the sky, even though it's going at a good rate of speed, when you're the observer on the ground looking up at it, you can see it moves along at a pretty slow pace. Well, this light that I was looking at in the horizon was clipping it along at an unusual speed. And so then I thought, well, is it a satellite? Maybe it's a satellite, but it appeared to be going too fast for a satellite. Maybe it's a meteor. I didn't know. But we were talking, me and my friend were talking back and forth, and we weren't acknowledging it. We were just talking about whatever nonsense or whatever. And it was at some point in time that I said, "Hey, do you see that light?" And that's when my friend said, "You know what? I've been watching that light too." So both of our attentions were caught by that light, and we watched this light zip across the sky, and it changed direction a couple of times, and then it went off in the horizon and started to slowly disappear. Now this is where it gets weird, and it's hard to explain. I saw this light, I looked, and this light started to slowly fade, but then it changed direction and came at us at such a high rate of speed that it went from barely visible to being this gigantic triangle that was literally right above us. And when I say literally right above us, I can remember there was power lines, and I don't know what the average height of a power pole is, but it seemed, looking back on it, and now again, there again, this was close to like 30 years ago, but if I were to guess, if you stack two more telephone poles, that's what we used to always call telephone poles, power poles, if you stack two more on top of each other, that's how low this thing was, and this thing was gigantic. It was bigger than what I would I would say a jumbo jet. It was about I would say about the same size as a jumbo jet, maybe a little bigger. I don't know, and this thing was gigantic. And when it went from being this tiny speck to being right there, it's weird because it was such a blur, but you could see the motion of this thing coming and accelerating and then stopping dead above us. And I remember it was clearly a triangle, okay? A flat triangle. It was dark above it because I couldn't make out if there was anything on top of it built up from it, but we could clearly see that it was a triangle, and it had a series of lights underneath it, and I can remember whites and reds underneath it. There were some big lights at the points, at the 3 points, and then there was a series of lights that went in all around in the inside of it. And I remember it was right there. I was driving. I can't remember how fast I was going. I think it was like the speed limit is 55 through there, so a lot of people tend to do 60. But I did remember slowing down, and we both looked at this thing very calmly, which is another weird part of this story. We both looked at it calmly, and we thought that, we both said, "Wow, that's interesting." And I can remember continuing to drive and looking out the back, because I had an S10 pickup truck then, so it has those big rectangular windows in the back, and I can remember periodically looking over my shoulder up at this thing as it slowly, silently moved across US 41. Now, the other thing about this story is that I can remember when I finally turned and focused on the road, there was other cars that were heading northbound that would have been driving right towards this thing, okay? And nobody, you would think in hindsight that if I saw something like that, we saw something like that, that we would be excited, rip the car over, and get out. Now back then there was no smartphones. I didn't even have my first computer yet. I think the thing then was Nextel had come out with the bleep, like the walkie-talkie kind of feature, but we didn't have smartphones yet. So I didn't carry a digital camera around with me, so I didn't have any way of taking a picture, but we didn't even think of that. We were just both like, wow, that's interesting, and we just continued on down the road, and everyone else that was heading southbound seemed to methodically do the same thing. The other aspect would be there could have been, like, somebody might have panicked seeing something like that and freaked out and sped off down the road. That didn't happen to us either. We just were both wow, interesting. And we just drove back to the house. And when we got to the house, it wasn't until we got to the house that we both looked at each other and we were just like, what the hell did we just see? Only we didn't say it, we used choice words. And it was at that point in time we were like exhilarated and like freaked out because I will tell you this. What is it? I don't know. Okay? I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't on alcohol. Didn't drink. Barely drink. Now, I wasn't overtired. I don't know. I was of sound mind when I saw this thing, and my friend saw it too. But if you're going to ask me what was it, that I can't tell you. I did think about it a lot after that as to, well, maybe, I know that there's been people back in the day that had reported to see this incredible flying wing, if you will, in the sky, and saying they swore they saw a UFO, when it turned out to be the stealth bomber in its secret development days, so what this thing was, I don't know. I always thought it could have been like our U.S. government has something, they have the next best thing. They figured it out, and now they got an awesome weapon to protect the country if need be. But even now, the government is saying that what they've observed in the skies has not, it far exceeds our technological capabilities by at least 1,000 years. All right, and so now I don't know. I'm not I have heard of different stories. Like I'm aware of Bob Lazar, who swore up and down that he worked at Area 51. He had clearance to work around craft that the U.S. government had in their possession, and he was tasked to reverse engineer it. For years, a lot of speculation, ridicule. People think he's absolutely nuts. So anyways, it's getting real interesting, guys. Like I said, June 1st is when the deadline, when they're supposed to release this report. We're headed into a new era now. Do I think they're aliens? It's kind of hard to think otherwise, and I'm not like rooting for the alien, hey, beam me up, Scotty. I'm not into it on that aspect. I do realize that I almost tend to think that there's always been intelligent life out there, because it would be very arrogant for us to believe that we're the only thing in existence in the universe. But in saying that, it's scary to think that if China has something that can do what these things are capable of doing, or Russia, that's a little unnerving. I'd almost rather it be aliens, but if it is aliens, what is their intentions too? We could have a real Independence Day, but then I think, okay, well, if they could have, they probably already would have annihilated us. So it's going to be interesting. I think really, you might think I'm crazy or not, I think we're heading into a new era of humanity, and we're going to find out what all this leads to. But I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are, and if you've seen anything unusual in the sky. I can tell you that what I saw changed my life and my thinking about what's out there. And so take it, leave it, don't believe it, think I'm a nut, think I'm crazy. That's fine, that's up to you. This happened to me. This was my experience. And I just thought I would share it with you, because now with what's going on in current events, I think now is the time. And I just want to say I think it's going to get interesting. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are on the whole topic. Put it down in the comments down below. Please, if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe and hit the bell. It's going to inform you when I upload future videos, and there's so much more to come. So check out my brothers, Keith from Cobwebs and Candlesticks, and Vic Springston from Monster Misfits. And until next time, guys, I appreciate you. Peace.